Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem. We're continuing with Berura Daf Hashavua. We're up to Siman Kuf Nun. Yesterday, we saw in the Mechaber in Seif that we don't open the door of the Beis HaKnesses only opposite the side that you're davening toward, so that if you're davening toward the west, the doorway should be in the east, so that when you enter the Pesach, you bow toward the Arayin, which is the direction that you're davening toward. The Bir Halacha says, let's see, that this is based on the Tosefta, like the Gra quotes. So the Bir Halacha then has a shaila. What do shuls do because of room constraints, that they're not able to put the Arayin in the Mizrach and they have to put it in the north or the south? What direction should the tzibor daven? Should they daven toward the east, because that's Yerushalayim, or to the Aron Kodesh? In other words, what has precedence, the Aron Kodesh, or the direction of the Aron, or the direction of Yerushalayim? And the Bir Halacha does not give a conclusion. He ends off with tzarachia on what should be done in such a circumstance. Let's see. The Mishnah said earlier, in a case where you can't put the Aron in the east, you should put it in the south. Okay, the Rama continues. Let's see the Mishnah Berura first. Ba'oisa ha'ir ulefikach b'medinois elu. Therefore, in our community, that we daven to the east, because we are situated in the west of Eretz Yisrael, we have to make the door of the Shul in the west, so that you could bow from the door neged the Aron. Let's say the door was on a different side. Now when they're rebuilding it, some of the leaders of the Shul say, hey, we didn't build it right the first time, we want to change it. The majority cannot protest, even though it's going to cause the whole setup of the Shul to change. Yikov hadin beinehem. Let the halacha pierce through this dispute. In other words, we don't care about protocol. We don't care how it was done. V'ayim beber halacha. So in other words, despite the fact that this is not how they did it for many generations, well, now they should start doing it right. Now in the Be'er Halacha he says, look what I wrote in the name of the Magen Avram, but I didn't bring from the Prisha and the Pri Megadim that they question this whole din. What does that mean, they question the whole din? It says in Bavel, the entrances were in the west and they bowed to the east, like in our Medinos. Meaning, even though Bavel is east of Eretz Yisrael, they daven to the east. That seems to be not like this halacha. Then the Be'er Halacha brings that this kapeda is only in the door that most of the tzibur enters, but the other doorways, you could make them in any direction. Furthermore, the din of Shulchan Aruch is only on the opening of the shul itself, but the opening of the building, that also, it doesn't matter what direction it's in. Okay. Siv Katan Yud Aleph, Neged Ha'arain Shubarach, V'atam Shetzach Likba Arain Shom. The reason you have to put the Arain there, K'mavor Barambam, V'tor V'zel Hashaynai, U'boinin Heichal Zeh, they build this Heichal, Beruach Shemaspalim Kenegdai Ba'isa Ir. They build the Arain in the direction that they daven, Kedei Sheyupneim El Mul HaHeichal K'sheyamdu L'Tfilah. So like we mentioned, the Ber Halacha, it's a shaila. Let's say there's a conflict between Yerushalayim and the Arain. Is it better to face Yerushalayim or is it better to face the Arain? The Ramah continues. V'oisin Bima be'emtza beis hakneses. They put the Bima in the middle of the shul. Sheyamoid aleh karya batar v'yishmu kulam. So that the Bal Koreh should stand there and everyone could hear. It says in Mishna Berura v'oisin Bima be'in oisin yosem mishesh madregos l'Bima. The Bima should not have more than 6 steps. The Zohar says dafka, the kapeda is that it should have dafka 6 steps. Like it says by the throne of Shloimeh, v'sheish malois lekisei. The Zohar adds the shulchan on the bima is the 7th step that you put the Sefer Torah on it. The Chidah says in Machzik Bracha that nowadays we're not nizar in this, that the bima should have 6 steps. The Mishna Siosef also says then the old shuls in Europe, they didn't have steps dafka to the bima. Other poskim say that you should have 6 steps. But the Machne Chaim says minimum 3 steps. But it's not ma'akev. The Ben Ish Chai says not ma'akev. Even if you don't have steps, it has a din of a bima legabe hakafais. In other words, the fact, even if it doesn't have steps, most shuls today don't have steps. That doesn't mean it's correct. First of all, they're still trying to collect money to get a klaf. So, after they do that, they could spend money on getting steps. But it's better, l'chadchila, a bima should have minimum 3 steps. Some say 6 steps is ideal. Okay. The Ramah continues, the Sheikh Tzibor should face the Heichal, not the people. Here is the way people should sit in the shul. The elders, the Talmidei Chachamim, should face the people. Everyone else sits in rows. They should face the Arain and the Talmidei Chachamim. Says the Mishna Berura, the Ramah was makatzer here, when the Shel Tzibor goes to daven, yored la'aretz lifnei teva, he should go down before the teva, upanav klapi hakodesh kishar ha'am. That's why the Magen Avram quoted earlier in Siman Sadi says that the Shatz is called Yored Lifnei HaTeva because the minhag was the place that the Shatz stood was lower than the rest of the shul. Mimamakim Karasich Hashem. The Beis Yosef brings from Mari ben Chaviv that another reason he's called Yored is because he leaves his spot, his regular place, to go to the Teva. Also, some say because he's yored from the bima, from which he went to read the Torah to daven Musaf. Lamaisa Rav Moshe says it's not the minhag of the Shatz to stand on a makam namuch, like the Magen Avram says, because the Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah never said that there's a maila to daven dafka b'makam namuch, just not b'makam gavaya. Also, Rav Moshe says the Rif and the Rush omit this halacha. Also, the Shulchan Aruch brings that in the old shuls they didn't see that there was a lower spot, and in the shul of the Ramah, the floor is not lower. Now, where should the amud be from which the Chazan davens? Rabbi Moshe says, in many places the minhag is to put the amud on the right side of the Aron Kodesh. That's mashma a little bit in the Mishnah Berura. It should be on the right side, which is the chashav side. The Mishnah Seif says some places they put the amud on the left side. Why? Because the Rav is on the right side. So therefore the amud is on the left side. I think in most shuls it's front and center. Is there a reason for that? I'm not sure.
Shouldn't you be lifnei hateva?
So when they say the right side, it's still within the vicinity of the Aron, but not mamish front and center. Doesn't seem like there's a makar to do it front and center. It seems like it should dafka be either on the right or the left. What about in very big shuls, and they can't hear the shots when he's standing at the amud? Rav Moshe says the shots could daven at the Bima, so that everyone could hear. And that was the minhag in Europe in many Bati Knesiyos. However, if there's no special reason, don't be mishana from the minhag of standing by the amud. What about during Kabbalah Shabbos? The minhag is to dafka daven from the Bima and not the amud. Why? Says Rav Shlomo Zalman, to show it's not miseder atfila. It's a minhag shenagu b'doros hamucharim. I think in many Ashkenaz shuls, they're makbet to do it at the Bima, not at the Amud. Okay, Mishnah Berura continues. V'seder hayeshiva sivkatan yodalid. V'achshav ein inyan l'seder zeh. Nowadays, there is no inyan for the seder where the zakenim are in the front and the regular people in the back. Ki koinim hamakoimos, because they sell the spots. So it doesn't go by chashivos, it goes by money. It goes by money. Okay. Mikamakim mizor shel yasser shum makom leishiv alav bein habima u bein hahechal. B'avin sheyeh pnei hayoshev neged habima v'achorev lahechal. Therefore, you should be careful not to make any place to sit between the Bima and the Aron in a way that the one sitting there is opposite the Bima and his back is to the Heichal. The Gnaihu. It's a Gnai for one's back to be toward the Aron. V'yisur nami ika. To oimed ala Bima levarich u'mishtachave. The guy standing on the Bima looks like he's bowing to the person in front of the Bima. So first he says you have to be careful not to make any place to sit between the Bima and the Aron in a way where the person sitting there is neged the Bima with the back to the Heichal, because it's a Gnai. Looks like he's bowing to him. Unless you do it from the side.
Didn't it say the beam is supposed to be in the middle?
It seems like there's an issue with the seats between in front of the bima, because the guy who's getting the aliyah and he's bowing, it looks like he's bowing to them. Other achronim ask, well, then how could the zakenim sit in the front? And the people, when they're bowing to them, even though the zakenim would also get up and bow. Okay, because of prima the achshav sha'osim becomes itzel abima shekarn ala memra. Nowadays, that we make places near the bima that we call ala memra upnei hayoyshev lahechal va'acharav labima, and those who are sitting are facing the hechal and their back is to the bima. Av sha'acharav l'sefer Torah, even though their back is to the sefer Torah, mikal makom rishus acheres hi bima. The bima is considered a rishus b'fnei atzmai, and it's okay. Okay, we'll hold it over here. Shkayach.
Recording stopped.